Hey there, folks. So, last episode we got the basic setup for spawning in the equipped item on our character. So, just hop in here and hit 4, and then I'm going to press F8 to bounce out of the. Oh, I think it's trying to load up a breakpoint I had thrown. Forgot to remove that. Yeah, it's loading that up on the other side. Let me just get rid of that breakpoint and continue. So in here you can see we're spawning in a item based on the information we're pulling in from the equip weapon function, which is the weapon item base. Using that, we're trying to spawn it in, it's correct, and then we're telling it to initialize. Now what we have here though is the one issue of, let me just get rid of that breakpoint, hop back in here, now I'll hit F8. If we go over all the way here to the corner of the map, which is our 0, 0 location, you can see the bat we spawned in is in the 0, 0 location. It's not actually attached to our character. What we need to do for that is have some sockets and do a create a join there. So what we're going to do for that to start with, let me just pull up our content browser and bring it over. Now this is going to be dependent on your own skeletons for your skeletal mesh actors. But if we go in here and we go to our mega post character, because it's the skeletons we are using. Actually, I'm going to open up our third person blueprint so we can get to the right one. Let's quickly do that. Our root mesh is our head, so we're going to go find that in the content browser. We open that up. Okay, I'll just switch this out for the content browser here. So in here you can see on the left it has the structure outlined, which is our standard Unreal skeleton. What we are looking for here is the hands. If I actually drop back to the skeletal actor, if we go to our hands, so we have, oh, it's not going to let me, there it is. So if you right click on it, add socket, and then we're going to name this, actually this is where we want to do it in our character define files. I know I had mentioned that last episode. So in here we've defined the byte socket name. What we also want to do in here is define right hand socket, and then we're also going to define left hand socket. Both of these are going to be an F name. And I'm trying to think, because these aren't just NPC, so I'm going to go char for short for character, right hand socket. And now again, you can use whatever naming convention you want for these. Left hand socket. So now we've got those defined. We want to make sure we use this exact format and casing and everything. So I'm going to copy that, go back into the editor, and then this is the, oh, that's the left hand. So where's our right hand? Right hand. Add socket, rename that, paste that in there, and we're going to grab the left hand socket as well. So what we've done there is we have added a socket, which is basically a virtual connection point to the master skeleton for our character. And that socket allows other things to be attached to it and keep the exact same location. Now, if we zoom out, you can see it's down here. If we select our hand, it is right at the, sorry, I'm holding a coffee here. You can see it's right at the, what would be the wrist joint. So that is where, as I'd mentioned in previous episodes, we are going to want to have those offset adjustments for the transform adjustment, for the weapon. So, all right, so now how do we go about getting this connected up? So I'm going to close out of this. I'm going to make sure all is saved. You can use either the bottom right, there's this one here. It's saying all is saved, so everything's good there. But if we go File, Save All, just to make sure. And actually, I'm going to open up that skeleton again, and you can see those sockets are still there. Now, if you have multiple root skeletons, you obviously are going to need to add this to every root skeleton. Right now, the way things have gone with this project, we don't have multiple root skeletons. There's no character customization yet. That is something I do plan on adding in later in the series, but that's not something that's a core functionality that you need in place for the game. So, physics asset. All right, so now that we've done that, I'm actually going to close out of the editor here because we're going to be working on a lot of code for the next little while. Okay, sorry, just having a quick drink there. So we have our equip item base, which is where we're just going through and populating all the information and creating that instance. So we don't really need to do much here. Where we're going to be wanting to do that is right here. First things first, what we are going to want to do is actually be able to store this as a permanent reference, because we're going to want to be able to remove it, things like that. So character base header, actually I'm going to copy this. I'm actually trying to think how to do that. So this is something you'd want to determine within your project, how many equipped weapons or handheld items you think are going to be available in total at one time. So, for example, you have humans, we have 2 hands. Most cases, some obviously amputees, things like that. But typical case, you have 2 hands. Then, if that's the case, you're going to have a maximum of 2. If you have a game that you say have Goro from Mortal Kombat with 4 hands, I was trying to think of something that would remotely justify this. You would want to have 4, so on and so forth. So if you had like a weird 8-armed creature, you would have 8. So with that, what we're going to do here, because we do also need to make some modifications, because right now we're just equipping it. There's no what hand. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to grab a copy for this, because we also need unequipped behavior. We head into our header file here. Did not mean to word it that way, but anyways, equipment skeleton. So we do have this section that we already have, which is where I'm going to be putting this. So I'm going to create a pointer, and this is going to be right hand item. And you're a class. So actually we're going to have multiple of these, so I'm going to put it up at the top. Forward declaration. So and then we also need the same thing for a left-hand item. And like I said, this is where if you had a creature with 4 arms or 6 arms or whatever, you'd want to make some level of distinction here. But because, as I said, the goal of this is to be a realistic-esque, or as realistic as possible, survival simulator. 2 hands is where we're stopping. So now we've got that. Here in our actual equip weapon logic, we're going to need to modify this as well, because we need to say which hand is it going into. So what we're going to do is right click, and this is just a trick I'm showing you guys. We could search through the header file for it. Right click on the function name, go to declaration. It's going to find it in your header file. Now, this is something you also need to remember with coding. We could go bool be left hand. Actually, no, be right hand. I'm right-handed, so I'm going to use right hand dominance. As of right now, copy this over into the source file. This is going to throw a build error. It's not complaining right now, but as you can see when you mouse over it, excuse me, you see in the information pop-up, you see T subclass, U weapon item base, item equals null pointer, bool be right equals error. The reason being this is a coding requirement in C++, is once you, in left to right order here, once you have declared a default value, all items to the right need to have a default value. So we've got two choices. We can either move bool be right to the left-hand side and declare it here, or we can keep it on the right side, give it a default value. And I'm actually going to change be right-handed, right hand, and I'm going to go true. So this will fix that error, and I just duplicated that line. So now when you mouse over it, you can see there's no error. It's not a problem. This will compile fine. So going back to our source, I'm going to fix the wording there. And here you can see when you mouse over it, if it's going to do it for me today, it doesn't have that information because literally it's pulling it from here, not from the header file. So what we've got here though is basically a Boolean indicator as to are we using, we go up here, or are we referencing the left hand or the right hand. Now there is obviously two-handed weapons. You don't need to worry about those because they are, we have that information stored in there. And basically all we're going to do, and this could be if you want a left hand or right hand dominance in your characters, or the option of, you could add that in. I'm not going to that level because I don't want there to be a physical distinction as in, oh, if you pick a left-handed person, things work one way. If you pick a right-handed person, things work the other way. I do realize in real life that actually does play quite a factor in things, but still. Anyway, so now we've got that. Oh, excuse me. What we're going to do here is if be right-handed, and this is where one of those few other cases where I'm actually going to use an else. I personally don't like using them, but be right-handed, it's right hand item equals equipped item, left hand item equals equipped item. Well, this is all well and good. But the problem here is, what happens if you already have something equipped? We're going to have this item floating around attached to the character without being destroyed. So we need to do some additional evaluations before we do this. So if right hand item does not equal null pointer, right hand item, oh, it's a pointer, sorry, and destroy. And then we're going to do the same thing here. If left hand item does not equal null pointer, so this is where I mentioned previously in, I can't remember if it was the last episode or the episode before that, I did have some concerns with our weapon item base that we don't have a deconstructor function. I haven't gone through and done any testing on this yet, obviously, because we needed this functionality to be in place for that to work, to be able to go through and do that testing. So I do plan, and because that is very, very tedious, I'm going to do it off camera. Just do some like memory management and memory leak testing to see if this is going to cause a problem or not. I don't believe it will, looking into some of the Unreal Engine garbage collection, but just in case. Well, think about that though. On the other side of it, we've got right here, if the item equals a null pointer, we want to remove something. Well, it's this right here. So what we're going to want to do here is if B right hand item destroy, because all this is we are destroying the physical actor component that's attached to the character's hand, or will be attached to the character's hand. We're not actually destroying the inventory item. And then we're going to go right hand item equals null pointer. So just to explain, the reason why we're doing a destroy, then we're doing a null pointer, is because this is a pointer reference. And all a pointer reference is, I'm trying to think the best way to describe that. A pointer reference is basically, okay, this information is stored in memory slot 1. And that's all that is. So what this is saying is if there's something there, it's go to memory slot 1 to talk to it or access its functionality. Destroying it deletes memory spot 1, but the character still has the right hand item says, oh, all the information's over in memory spot 1. So you're going to get, if we didn't set it as a null pointer and something happened that we called the right hand item, you're going to get access violation errors because you're trying to access memory that's not either not in use or not what it's meant to be. So, all right. So, well, simple enough. We just have another else here. It's going to be left hand item destroy left hand item equals null pointer. And again, exact same reason. We're just empty out the memory location, tell the character to stop looking at that location. So it's pretty easy here for this one. If it's not valid, we're going to log the error. So let's do that now. Actually, logger get instance add message. Why is IntelliSense being weird today? Error level. This will be an error. Unable to spawn. Excuse me. So obviously we've got our logging in there, and as mentioned, log error and return. The reason being for this is you do not want to try and execute any additional information or any additional logic on something that didn't spawn. So it's not valid. We've got a bad equipped item. We need to bail. So see that we've got our equipped item, initialize item, whatever. And now right now, this doesn't account for two-handed weapons. This episode, we're not even going to take that into consideration. But we are going to try to keep that in mind. So now that we've got that, what we want to do is a right hand item, set up attachment. Is it attachment? Attach to actor, sorry. That is going to be this. F attachment transform rules. And then this is going to, oh, that doesn't like that. I have to figure out what we need to do there. But this is where we're going to go and use our right hand socket in this case. So we're going to copy that define and just throw that there. It's a struct. Oh, okay, that's what. I'm just going to do this, and that's not going to work either, I don't think, because it's got other instantiation requirements. No default constructor exists. Okay, well, let's go through the easy way of figuring this out. So UE5, C++, F attach, and transform rules. And surprisingly, yes, as I've mentioned in other episodes, this is a very common process, going through and Googling so go to this, post 2, if you could give it a default value. Okay, and this is, like I said, this is something that you're going to find you go back and forth, back and forth. You do this quite a bit. Okay, so it doesn't have default values, but it does have a constructor. So no, yeah. Wow, I cannot type today. It's taking a look at these. So E-attachment rule. Keep relative and weld simulated bodies. I believe we want this true. So, all right. So with that, we've gone through. What we've done is spawned it and attached it to the character. I'm going to repeat this exact same process here for our left-hand item. And we're going to use left-hand socket for this one, obviously. Now, what I'm going to do a very quick build here because we are coming up to 23 minutes right now. I'm going to do a quick build, hop into the editor, and we're going to see if this actually then attaches to our character's hand. Oh, actually, no. So what I want to do here, right-hand item, because we're going to be setting in as a right hand. Set relative location to F vector. No. How is this going to be coming in? That is item. Oh, where is that? That is the mesh offset. Did we add a function for that? Get mesh K. No, we didn't. So we're going to add that in quickly because I forgot to add that in. U function blueprint, if I could spell, function blueprint callable blueprint pure, because we're not going to be letting them change anything even in blueprints. F transform, get mesh offsets const, return, and what do we call that? Mesh offsets. All right, so now we've got that function that gives us that information. Save you, go back into here, item, get mesh, I don't know, default, oh, monkeys, because it's T subclass. Get default object, get mesh I just dealt with this. Why is my brain not working? Because it's get mesh offsets. Yeah, because item coming in is a subclass of view at weapon item base. We've added that to weapon item base. Okay, well, that is ultimately what we're going to be looking at here. We're going to be wanting to... Why am I not remembering how to do this? Like, this is frustrating. Okay, so with that, I don't know why my brain does not want to work, but I'll show you a trick. So in this case, because we are using a T subclass of, I'm going to do a search for all. I'm going to do that in my current project because that's going to limit it to any code I've written. And this is, like, again, I'm going to be honest, like I say, I'm not sure why my brain is not functioning here, and I can't figure this one relatively simple thing out because I've done it multiple times. That's the one we're looking at there. Let's see. Yeah, that's that. Equip weapon. That's our initialize. Get default object. Or is it because we're using... No, it should just be get default object. Okay, because in here you can see, and this is just for everyone, and I'm sort of rubber duck debugging myself. So we have a weapon item base, item to use. We are pointing it to exactly what the same is. It might be... The only difference here is we're storing it as a local item. That's just so it's in the data store. Actually, could that be we're missing a header? I believe that is actually the issue here. That could very well be our problem because it was treating it as a U object. Yep, that was 100% the issue because I forgot to include. So this is, again, something you may run across, and I do this periodically myself, and I want to point this out. No, it's not. No, that wasn't the issue. Okay. Get mesh offset, but it's... Okay, well, let's see if we can work around this. So I'm going to go create this. It's going to be T item equals item. And let's see if that makes a difference. Okay, well, I'm going to leave this for right now because I want to move this episode along as we are hitting the 30-minute mark. And I want to make sure this attachment logic is at least working. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to launch into the editor. I'm going to pause the video while all this builds. And I'll either be back with a build error or we'll be in the editor and make sure this is actually working out for us. Alright, so we are back in the editor here. I'm going to quickly hop into a play session. We're going to hit 4. And I left this breakpoint in place because I wanted to make sure this logic was coming through correctly. Now this is where that default value is coming into play. Right-handed is going to be true. So It's valid. We're initializing it. So be right-handed. We should go into here. If it is not a null pointer, which it is, we're going to destroy it, but it's not. So copy that over. We've created the attachment rules and we've attached to the socket. So we're going to hit continue. We're done in here. I'm going to eject. Now you can see we do have some other issues. It's connected to the player. If we hop back in, I'm going to move over here. That should, if we eject and bounce out, you can see it is still there. So there's obviously some other issues we need to deal with. With that, let's actually, let me select the bat. Equip character item base 0. Let's see. We have socket option in here? No. So it does look like we have some issues there with it connecting to the socket. It should be actually right where the cursor is where it should be attaching. So I'm going to stop that. Let's take a quick look at the code. It might be this E attachment rule. Oh, let's do it in the right hand. Snap the target. That could be my issue. So going to drop out of the editor quickly. I'm going to run another quick build. We're going to do one more check and hopefully that resolves the problem. So I will be right back. All right, so we're back in the editor. We're going to give this one more quick try because I know we're already past the 30-minute mark here. So we're going to hit 4, hit F8. Yeah, and it's still, that might be the socket. No, that would be there. I think there may be some issues with regards to here or the various attaching. So with that though, folks, I'm going to end the episode here. We really didn't get much done this episode other than adding in some of the unequipped logic, the error handling, and we started the attach to character process. Obviously I've got something incorrect here. So need to work on that. I'm going to do a little bit of digging off camera to figure out what I need to do to address this socket issue, where it's getting attached to, that looks like the root bone, because that's right there. That is the center of the character. So, well, either way, folks, I'm going to end this episode here. And next episode we'll be continuing on getting this fixed so that it's actually attached to the character's hand. Depending how long that takes me in the next episode, we may move into some animations so that we can actually like swing the weapon. And then following on from that, if we don't have time next episode, that'll be the episode after that. But as always, folks, thanks for watching. If you have any comments, questions, concerns, suggestions, please feel free to leave them in the comments below or hop over onto the Discord and drop a comment there or ask a question. I respond to both as quickly as I can. But thanks again, and I will see you in the next episode.